Welcome to Nevermind The Furthermore. Wait a minute, this music isn't right, the scene isn't right. Hang on. That's more like it. And now it's time to the show for all creatives. Nevermind The Furthermore. Your source for conversation, inspiration, and fun. With your host, Nicholas Anthony Tockert. He's an artist, a writer, a swordsman, and a game designer. He knows how to use the sword and axe in historical battles without anybody getting hurt too much. He's also the Manatee Man, master of marketing. And he may even have a guest or two. One thing, though, to be certain. Just don't call him a cryptid. With that, it's about time for the show. So sit back, enjoy, and have some coffee and chat with us.
Good morning, Nevermorians! I'm your host with the most, Mr. Nicholas Anthony Tockert, coming at you over the airways on WNTF. Never mind the furthermore. Nevermind the Furthermore is brought to you with the love and the support of our good friends over at indiecd.org. Yes, the independent creator directory, your one-stop shop for the best and the brightest authors, musicians, artists, editors, flatters. Look, I've been saying it for months now. I'm going to keep on saying it. If you are creative and you want to make it, you need support. You need a place that is safe, where I know you will be taken care of. Right now, the Independent Creator Directory is the best place on the planet. Meat space, digital space, whatever you need, cyberspace. Yeah, let's get back to the 90s when that was a phrase. Where you can get, not only can you find the creators that the algorithm doesn't want you to see, not only can you find authors who are telling it like they want to, not like the high overlords demand, you can find where they're actually going to be. Yes, friends, there is a community calendar that talks about conventions, shockingly, before they happen. Because there's nothing on earth, as someone who vends things, as someone who attends things occasionally, like, wow, there's an amazing con. Yeah, it was only a few minutes away, less than an hour, and I found out about it the day after. Don't fall for that crap, friends. Join indiecd.org for a one-time fee of $40, where you get lifetime support from Joe Bachman, who right now is ripping his hair out trying to battle the technological gremlins that slipped in while he was playing Big Stompy Robots with me. Because he's there every day online taking care of you and your creators. So be sure to join up. We are also made possible by, if you go to that link, I get a little bit of money. Not much, but, it at least shows Joe that I matter, which is nice. It's good to be appreciated. Because I believe when he is a high-ranking evil overlord of business, I don't want to be forgotten on the side. Now, we are also made possible by sales of the Simple Sword, the Fighting Axe, and the Simple Spear. all part of my ongoing series of Western martial arts manuals designed to help you overcome the fear of living your life like an NPC. Friends, you may not matter much in the stories around you, but you are, whether you like it or not, the main character in your own story. And it is high time a whole lot of you woke up and realized that. One of the best ways I have found to fight that feeling of I am more than hello, would you like paper or plastic with that? Or have you turned in your homework? Or let me reshelve that, or I'll get the mop. We all have to be NPCs at one point or another. But when you're out there learning to sword fight, when you're out there collecting obscure skills, you know you're a something. And then you get to decide what that is. Going from a known quantity of a mundane, laid back, seemingly common individual to being able to say in conversation, yes, last night I was throwing knives. What were you doing? Oh, you watched popular sitcom 246 with the laugh track, so you know what is supposed to be funny. No, get out there and live and find your passions. Of course, when you get out there and live, you have to be careful because you also might find monsters lurking in the woods. Well, yes. Yeah, I'm sorry. I took that. I'm like, VO? No. I was signaled by one of my producers because apparently I have them now, or I will in the near future, about chapter 20, which apparently it was traumatizing. So now, once I get through this slog fest of a fight, it's a great fight, but lots of detail. There's Icar. Anyway, in the sequel to Haints and Hellfire, which that tells you it's good enough I have to write a sequel, guys, 2 reporters go to a small town in the Appalachian Mountains to investigate a murder. You know, a grisly family slaying, you know, those little happy smile file pieces that they look at you and go, hello, today 7 people were found rendered into a hamburger. We're not sure what they were wearing. Let's talk about that. Anyway, and instead find themselves on either side of a major supernatural conflict where both will be changed forever. Is it warped? Yes. Is it insane? Yes. They'd expect nothing else of me. Now, with that being said, today is Wednesday, so I will be cranking out art and shenanigans. We may be, I don't know if we're still planning to discuss convention setups, tips for if you are running convention, things that you need that are very, very obvious to someone who's attending, but might not be so for the creator, you know, when you're crossing the I's and dotting the T's. So for the purpose of that, I have been requested, enlisted, mesmerized, etc., by today's guest, who will be hanging out with me whilst I make art and things happen. That being, of course, the lovely Dawn Dulas. Hi, Dawn.
Hello.
Dawn Shooty Dooby. Anyway, and if you don't know her, aside from being someone who helps make authors move forward and is becoming a mover and shaker in the background of certain conventions, which I know she wants to talk about, so I'm going to softball that one just a little bit. She is best known in these parts as being the author of a little tiny Facebook group page I like to refer to as Dawn's Fashionable Felines. I'm sure
you
sounds
didn't hear
out of her. Anyway,
poor baby, my little girl is sick, so.
I'm sorry that the inspiration for that is feeling unwell. I will also tell you guys that Joe is glaring at you, but he's actually working, so I'm not going to bother him much.
Oh, come on.
Well, no, I think he's actually like working, so.
Okay.
Yeah, so, So let's get into it. Before I start talking about what kind of hangs up on me, Don, what are the things that come to mind for you that most conventions aren't doing that you think they should do?
Oh, you're just right out the gate, aren't you? I'm gonna
Yeah,
check our
yeah.
chat
You know,
here.
I can read through the chat, and I will in a bit, but I want to give
Yeah.
them a good intro before I do the intro because they're used to waiting.
Well, are you talking more like with the um, background of it, or what the vendors are doing at it, or
I'm looking for what you find jumps out to you from your experience because you have a unique angle on things, being that you tend towards the marketing side of things, the background promotions, the background contacts, basically you see a lot of the work that people have no idea has to happen for a convention. So
one of the biggest things is people, and I think this is pretty, I've seen this at multiple conventions, is that the people who are planning it don't always look at it from their consumer's point of view. That's
yes,
one thing.
yes,
When they walk into something, stuff because you've been planning it. It's like back of hand for you, you know it better than anything. But somebody walking in is going to go, wait, what am I doing? So either, especially to the people who've never been to a con or done. So communication, signage, make it look pretty, communicate.
See, this is so funny because I recently went to a convention and I've been involved with RegionCon since it was ArcticCon, and I've got about 15. We're not sure if it's 15, 16, or 17. I think it's 15 years but it might be 16 years of attendance. I literally started there, and the fact that what I saw that was problematic there, that I've seen in many other things, is communication between both the con and the attendees, and between the individuals working the con, is such a huge. I mean, you just walked right into the biggest thing I've seen. So it delights me to know that I'm not out of my mind. So go on. I didn't mean to step on that. It was like, oh,
Okay.
wow, we have the exact same note card on the front,
Yeah, and we didn't discuss any of this beforehand because I didn't know if I was going to be here or not.
Oh, no, that's fine.
So we're both flying by the seat of our pants on this. So,
have you read any of my works? Of course, I'm a pantser in all things.
have you seen Squirrel? Oh, wait, okay.
Yep.
And by the way, I just saw Thesis said, and I have need for all of you. You guys are all very near and dear to me. So, anyway,
I'm deliberately not looking at the comments because I will get heinously distracted.
I just happened to see that one catch my eye. I saw my name and I'm like, what? Okay. So, anyways, as a vendor, you've got to get your wares out. It's a very small line between not talking to potential customers, to potential friends, to potential whatever, and pushing them away.
Yes.
There's a fine line, and you have to find that fine line, and it's different for everybody.
Absolutely.
So what I said on Monday was, you throw spaghetti on the wall, it sticks for you. It doesn't mean it's going to stick for somebody else, because you have to be who you are. You have to be the person you are. You can't be somebody you're not. But sometimes you got to get a little bit out of that comfort zone to get to that, making that person into a customer without going on this side of the
right.
Yeah. So, and if somebody gives you an idea, you don't have to go with it, but look at it at least and think about, what do they see that I'm not seeing? Because like you said, I have a marketing brain, so I'm like, so
Yeah.
I'm not always right. I'm not going to get spaghetti to stick for everything for everybody, but at least when somebody's giving you advice, think about it, take it, understand it, or,
right.
Especially with rising tide.
Right. And that's the thing that's different between how we handle things and a lot of the it's almost more the quasi vendors versus the actual vendors, because the quasi vendors see everyone as competition. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They see everyone as, the customer's only coming in with this many dollars, and and they get this very crab bucket mentality of pulling each other down while trying to pull each other up. When the folks who've been doing it for a while, or or like the good folks we're going to see in the chat as I watch the number go up, they look. We're not in competition because we're not all doing exactly the same thing. And I will say this: a good showrunner will also curate who they want in their convention and try to keep a balance of stuff. What I mean is, if you know somebody who's a really good, what have I seen a lot of? Seen a lot of resin dice pour people. I do gaming conventions. A lot of people make their own custom dice. You don't want to have 3 or 4 of the same, more mass-produced vendors at the same convention, because you are literally setting them up for competition. And that space where, diversity is a word that has connotations, but we lose track of its original intention. You want to have as wide a spread and as varied a spread of vendors as possible for presentation matters, because then they're not dogs on the other side of the fence. But that's a communication thing, and it's a preparation thing that you have to think of going in,
Right. And then you said with the competition, it's also okay. So right now you have Haynes and Hellfire out, and Behind the Thinning Veil. If somebody is into that and they bought those 2 books, nothing against Big Stoppy Robots. Maybe they don't play tabletop games. That's just them.
Well, yeah.
But you can sell those 2 books to them, but you don't have anything else at this exact moment that they will buy from you. But you also have to keep them. I'm trying to figure out how to word this. You want to keep them interested in you. You need to treat them like a human, and realize that they have they have supported your dream. They bought your 2 books. They have supported your dream.
Right.
So how about just being nice to them?
Well, see, that's the other thing. I think we have to realize the skill sets that go into, let's say, writing horror, because you brought Haynes and Hellfire.
Chapter 20.
Hey, I'm glad you love that so much. Aren't necessarily the same skill sets that go towards creation. That go towards selling and marketing. I see this a lot with artists, where they'll make beautiful artwork, but many artists, almost by nature, are very introverted. So they'll have beautiful artwork, and they'll be sitting there at the convention. And Lord, how many times have you seen this? The guy's got his thing. He's drawing. People are walking by. Somebody will stop. You won't even notice them.
That's the thing. It's good to do the drawing thing. You're working on your artwork. It shows people that you are into it. But on that other side of the coin, you have to have 2 eyes.
Well, and see, it's interesting you note that, because one thing I have found is, and I'm seeing it more and more, and I've seen it executed. How do I want to put this? I've seen it executed very poorly, and I've seen it executed very well, and I've seen it in such a manner recently, where you have what I call the the Daphne Velma alliance. Where many times the authors will be the Velma in the group. They're very intelligent. They're very skilled at what they have, and they're personable, but they're not necessarily outgoing. And you'll have somebody who's maybe perhaps more outgoing and more engaging, but they may not be creative in that way.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when it is a symbiotic relationship, everybody prospers, and I've certainly seen that. I recently had the absolute beauty of being at RegionCon and meeting Sarah A.
No way.
I'm sorry, my brain goes there. There's the two dots, Nick. You know that. Come on, get your umlaut on. Come on. But and she had a friend of hers by the name of Silhouette. And Sarah's an incredibly talented author. She's a talented artist and creative. And she's a lovely lady physically as well. But she's also got that, I don't know what this, it's not a standoffish air because I know what it means. But her energy is very cool, you know?
And that's you kind of touched on something I want to just say real quick, and I don't mean to interrupt you on this, but if you are vending at a con, if you can get that second person to your booth, do it. That is one thing that if you know, because like you said, opposite personalities, this one will relate to this one relates to this one, but also if you need to leave your booth for a minute, you have somebody there. You can go and walk around and talk to other vendors while somebody's still at your booth. So you can get the best of both worlds there.
And see, this is hilarious because to the best of my knowledge, outside of RegionCon, not RegionCon, I just left RegionCon, IndieCD.con, you haven't really seen me at a convention.
Right.
And it would be easy to presume I was working the room the way I was at that convention because I was a showrunner. That was not because I was a showrunner. That's just how I approach, you know.
That's just Nick being Nick.
Right, you know. And what I talk, I'm using Sarah and Silhouette as a neutral example. Although calling Silhouette neutral is an interesting thing. So it's a very dynamic personality, very active, very, fire to Sarah's ice. And I mean that in absolute compliment to both of these lovely ladies. I'm hoping to lure them to the...
Uh-oh. He was going to lure him somewhere.
And it looks like Nick might have frozen. So we will play a quick
It's very
ad.
windy here, so I'm assuming that it's blowing there too.
Oh, it definitely is down there. So we'll play a couple ads real quick, see if Nick's internet comes back in, and we will be right back after these short messages.
Welcome, friends. I'm Bladed Thesis, and this is my tea house. Come join me every other Saturday at 5:30 p.m. Mountain Time as we discuss Chinese culture, history, philosophy, and of course, martial arts. You can find me at youtube.com/BLADEDTH3SIS. Pull up a chair, grab a cup of tea, or the drink of your choice, and join the discussion.
And, looks like Nick is coming back in.
He said he had a power flicker.
My power just flickered, so I'm on the phone, which means I won't be doing the drawing stuff until hopefully things stabilize. But yes, when I said lure her to the dark side, I wasn't planning to be that literal. However, apparently, everything is hilarious. And yes, you are in the. I am holding my cell phone by hand because I need to reclaim my swing arm. Thanks for the backup, Joe. Everyone's laughing. But to get back to what we were saying, and pardon the shenanigans, I'm trying not to have the light blink too much behind me in case Cindy Koepp comes in. Yeah, you need to have somebody who complements your energy and not just mirrors it, but their strengths cover your weaknesses and vice versa. So when we talk about going into conventioning as a vendor, you want to think about these things, and I don't think I've ever heard anyone discuss that. Now, let me see. Yes, I'm talking about Fire and Ice and Froze, but we will do what we can. Maintaining engagement in person is it's a separate skill set, but you need to develop it, because especially if you're going to do your stuff.
And that's, I hated it growing up. I still don't, but because it's what it's called, but role playing what your pitch is, role playing what you want to say, role playing, making scripts and cards or something of stuff you want to make sure you tell people about. There's nothing wrong with that. I know, like I said, when you say role play, everybody, not in the green room sense. I know I better specify that with
there are
this
a lot of gamers here. It's okay.
But to role play, what do you want to say? What are you going to say? How do you want to say it? It's not always going to come out right, but you can actually, if you run it through your mind enough, it'll be better. And now his phone froze.
No, I was. Can you hear me?
Well, you roboted a bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, my systems go through the same cell tower. So apparently a huge storm kicks up, things get kind of delightful. But yes, the storm's kicking my butt out, and I apologize for any comments I miss in the shenaniganry by everything, but we can make it. All right, so we've talked about that. I know there's one thing I really want to express to you guys as vendors that I see time and time and time again. Please have some verticality in your booth.
And I think he froze again.
There
he is.
Be vertical.
Be vertical. People have to see your stuff. They have to be able to see what that you have, and you have to be able to explain it. I would.
And one of the things, I mean, he froze up again, but with being vertical, it doesn't mean that you just have something that you can put in somebody's face, not in their face, but and you don't have to go and spend a ton of money on everything.
Yeah, it's more, having a display, like having your book upright, not just laying flat on the table.
Mm-hmm. And you don't have to do every book you happen to have, just a couple of them, just to bring people over. You can get the plate holders from the dollar store super cheap. Carl made little stands out of his cigar packaging.
Yeah.
So there's ways that you can do stuff to make your table vertical that's not going to be like, oh, I can't afford that.
Right.
There's a lot of little things that you can do like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I use little like plate holder type things now to hold up my wood burnings and stuff.
Hi.
Welcome back.
At this, I don't know. Apparently, the universe is trying to keep me from telling the truth of vending and marketing, because every time I start getting to anything even
Oh dear.
That just made that even better.
wow, see what I mean? Yeah, what guys, join NDCD because it's apparent that the powers that be don't want you to know what I can tell you. Now, this is gonna get real weird for just a second.
Going to?
Oh, there we are.
No, I don't think you understand. Just
Who
how
got into double neck?
Okay.
Oh my god. Do we handle 2 Nicks at one time?
Yes, that's a whole lot of love. But we're going to turn that down. And I am leaving my feed from my phone up. Mute that, maybe. There we go. So that when things go wrong, not if, but when. Wow. My phone will not let me fully mute it. Here. Go away.
Don't hit the power button on your computer.
Oh, no. I'm nowhere near the power button on my computer. But that will be the best. Ironically, that's what you saw was a glimpse of how I'm going to be able to do over-the-top video projects. And yes, you want between 2 Nicks. Oh, my. I'm sorry I'm watching these comments click up. And with every power fluctuation and drop, I lose all the access to the comments that happened before it. So things become a lot more memorable.
No.
But
Well, we will have to have Joey pulling up stuff because I don't have hops, which is fine. I don't get. But,
no. If there's anything you need popped up, well, I wasn't worrying about giving you ops because pretty soon I should be hopping networks as soon as I get the bill and they say, okay, what are you doing? I'm dropping down and going over there is what I'm doing. But
I'm just saying that for popping up. They'll have to have Joey do that for the.
Actually, I'm curious to see how far back I can go.
I was say, just let me know when you're ready, and I can start popping stuff up. I got all the way back to being 9:12 this morning, your time, Nick.
Okay,
Alec was the first one through the door.
I appreciate that, and I do want to say hello to Miss Saren because I saw somebody say hello to her, even though she's not at I can't see that she's there. It said hi. I want to say hi. It's really distracting to hear myself. Can you guys hear an echo? Okay, that's all that matters, and I won't worry about it. Because apparently, even though I've turned off the sound to my phone and pulled the volume all the way down, it's still going to insist on telling me.
Behind the code on Monday night, I had the window open because it was nice, and Ted was in the cave with the Chromebook watching the stream, so I could once in a while hear me coming from the garage.
It's so weird.
I know weird.
I can barely tolerate myself. Me in stereo is not something I can. I do not envy you who have to put up with my many vocal and mental tics. But getting back on topic, please make sure your stuff is vertical. Now, I know starting out sucks. I know what it's like to start. Oh, God. One of these days, I will bring up the battered desk thing that I clattered around with me to the first few events that I hung my art sign off of. Because the first venue I was at had this little less than 4 foot wide space where a pillar just blocked off this chunk and no one could use it. So I got a deal. Like, you know what? That's about half a booth. I can make half the table fee. And even then I hung a sign with what I said, off the front. Verticality. People have to see what you're about. We also mentioned, she mentioned Haints and Hellfire versus the gaming things, because more of Dawn's stuff is geared towards the author side of things. Whereas I've been to author cons, gaming cons, comic cons, and if you're going to a convention off line with your mainline IP, you have two options. You either develop a new IP to go with it, which is dangerous because every time you make a new IP, you have to regrow the fan base from zero or nearly zero. Or you have to diversify your approach to your IP. So a lot of times I will see people go, well, I came to a convention and nothing sold. Okay, well, what did you have? My book. So you had one item at one fixed price, correct? Well, yeah. And what was your price? $16 for my book. Oh, so many. I see that. I see things like that, and I ache for the mistakes that are being made. I'm going to tell you why I ache, and see if this follows with you, Dawn.
Okay.
One item. If you bring one item, that means you're guaranteed hit or miss. You know, one price range. And then a price that requires the constant making of change. That's
try to keep it 10, 15, 25. And you can't always do that. But if you have that one item at that price, that it's different if you have, like 20 different pieces of wood, burned wood stuff, and some of it's 12, some of it's 18, some of it, because it's different because it's not just that one thing.
But I think it's as soon as you have something, have at least if not a giveaway, have a small ticket item, a pin, a bookmark, something related to your stuff. Because I'll be honest, I have bought pins for books that I frankly didn't care to read, but I really liked the way the pin, I could get double meaning off of the pin. Or, a lot of times you have to think that right now it's hard because the economy sucks. When the economy sucks, people who sell luxuries tend to sell less. So you have to tinker with your stuff. And, don't take a failure of sales as a failure of your product.
And even if you just have that one book and you don't have the money to make pins or buy stickers or something to make your table look pretty. There is things that you could do to make your table stand out even with one item. Right. And
maybe we should go a breakdown of, so you have no money or the no budget guide to what do you need to set up your table? And I would say obviously your merchandise has to be there. Get a tablecloth.
Yes.
They are not expensive. If you can't find a tablecloth because you are, and you're talking from a guy who, bumming a ride to the convention, what I mean? Everything's big, borrowed, or stolen, and not really stolen, but, get a flat sheet from Goodwill, have a tablecloth, have some kind of signage that says who you are. Even if it's just a trifold of cardstock or printer paper, what you
and
got?
I was going to say, even if you don't have, because financially everybody knows I'm pretty strapped with my situation, but if you're part of Rising Tide and you treat people well, they're going to want to see you succeed and they're going to help you do stuff too.
Yeah.
If you said, I don't have a printer, I can't print out a sign. If you're with Rising Tide, somebody was going to print you out a sign.
Right. Okay.
And I'm not saying use your friends. I'm saying that.
No. Understand the resources that are at hand. And you don't have a printer. A print out of the library may run, a color print may run you 25 cents. that's one thing about use your public libraries. They are wonderful resources.
Mm-hmm.
And because again, started from the bottom, now you're here. You want to be able
too. If you've got a book on, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but you have a book with the library, get Hoopla stuff.
Yes. Now, right now, it's interesting about that because I've been on the and I bet I missed it. I bet I missed my cutoff. My books have all been through the Kindle Unlimited program, which part of that has been Amazon exclusivity.
Mm-hmm.
But I've made a reasonable proportion on when things are slow, I tend to make money through the Kindle donation. The Kindle, you get so much per page read. It's not much, but it's something. So that jump is one of those I haven't personally made, but I kind of want to. It's just once you're in, it's actually surprisingly hard to get out of.
It's like a cult.
Oh no, we're not talking about. No, I'm gonna be good. I'm not gonna start trouble. But I will say before I go any further, I don't think I'm going to try to do the art stream portion of the show during the show today, with my power being unreliable. If I need to, for the purpose of this discussion, which is probably more entertaining for you guys, I can hop on my phone, but I can't do the art if I have to hop on my phone. And with the AI stuff, I want to make sure that I am, whenever possible, backing up. Look, this is my process. I have my bona fides, which it's a whole different conversation, but I wanted to get that before I forget. And speaking of forget, we do need to take a brief break to at least run what Joe Bachman has to say about his stuff, unless you did that while I was gone.
No, he ran Carl's and bladed thesis.
Thank you. And that's good to know. We'll be back in a minute 11.
Muted.
And as you can see, I watched my computer system freeze up delightfully. And it may or may not be running right now. So let's see if we can swap back. Behold, two Nicks again.
I see two of you. Oh, wait, there you went.
We don't plan, we improvise. Anyway, we're making
the
it
world
work.
is an imperfect place. Screws fall out every time, all over.
Yep. But we are making it work best we can. I think it did just accidentally prove my point that I may not be streaming my art this time. It may just have to be a surprise for you all later. Wookie spooky.
Surprise. Oh.
But and like I said, I am sorry to the chat that I am not trying to neglect you all. I will. Okay, I see that. Okay. You have to go into your notifications, and you have to ring the bell to get all notifications. Matthew,
I think he said he did do that, but I don't know for sure. But
and frankly, YouTube is kind of, you know how I say when you join in DCD because you don't have to fight the algorithm? The algorithm really does not like me.
Either that or just set your alarm to go off 3 minutes before the show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
That's why. Here's a secret, guys. If you are consistent in your broadcast time and relative broadcast length, people will build you into their rhythm, and you won't need a reminder. You'll know, hey, it's 10 a.m. in the Eastern time zone, you know?
Well, remember when you couldn't just stream a show when you wanted it? You had to be on ABC at 7 o'clock. You knew that you had to be on ABC at 7 o'clock.
I seriously need like a proper TV guide for all my friends. I can usually keep track of most of them on YouTube, but when I have people like Miss Saren, who is absolutely lovely, I hope she knows she's appreciated, even if I haven't found her comments. I know she's going through some stuff, and a few others. I find out about the Twitch streams, not streams, although.
Oh.
Yeah, much later, I'd often miss them. So eventually, maybe we can get something where, because I know few people have some really nice, what do you want to call them? Spreadsheets going, where this is here, this is here.
I have a paper schedule, and I have little things pinned on it to help me remind when everything is.
I did. And then I started cleaning in my study, and I had to take down my wall of knowledge. And I can't put it back up until I get done rearranging things. So I am lost. I am wandering the wilderness. No, but I will also guarantee you, if you get into this lifestyle, guys, and you start seeing the people on Rising Tide, you will fall behind in the viewing of any expected social. Everyone's talking about this season's show. I'm sorry, I don't have time to watch that. Well, what do you mean? It's streaming. You don't understand. I leave this show Monday and Friday. I have to run, take care of everything that is pressing after doing a hopefully 1 hour, sometimes more show. And then I'm watching Nita and Daphne. And I tend to put it that way because I've spent more time chatting with Nita than Daphne. And I'm still just a little starstruck because I've known her work since it started coming out. I mean, it's sort of like Dan Hallfield. It took me a long time to be like, yep, Dan's Dan. He's not Mr. Hallfield. He can be Dan. It's okay. Old Dan sometimes. But and if you don't know, you should check out his work, Old Dan, and know there is a sequel coming. And once he gets through his huge, beautiful backlog that he's expressed, maybe more. But first he has to get through a bunch of other things. That being said, we need to get back into the whole what makes spending and what makes a con work. So I'm going to jump to the slightly larger scale of, we've talked a good bit about vending, not real heavy. This is kind of a survey course episode because I haven't got my notes fully laid out in front of me. And yes, there are times where I need notes to keep things straight.
As I said, we're running by the seat of our pants on this one because we were talking about it, and then I didn't know how Little Miss was going to be feeling. And
right, so I'd actually kind of put all that stuff mentally aside and gone, okay, well, I'll do all the artwork and stuff, and the storms hit tonight, so they should be done by today. And no, we're gonna have the storms. But I'm sure they'll clear up after my broadcast. They usually do. So we are backfilling a bit, and that's okay. We could not discuss it, and you guys would think this was all planned because most people will assume, it's exactly how I intended. But at the next step up, when you were setting up a con, and Dawn started getting into it, she hit some great points early on. You need signage. There should be site maps. and I actually owed on a bit of a apology slash project because she asked me to drop something for her about Halcyon and gave me a sketch, and it literally fell off my mind, landed in the pool, and it's like I'm still
I
trying
think
to
it fell out of my head too and went down there.
yeah. So if you could get me close to the floor plan, I'll set some, and the sketch, and then whatever floor plans you can get me, I will still do that.
Okay.
I think one of us was waiting on something, and I don't remember what. But
I'm just laughing because welcome to my world.
exactly. And what the heck? Apparently, if you glance F2, oh no. Okay, she's moving. Cool. Sorry. I tapped something, and I assume it was F2, and Google started trying to give me, okay, what do you need help with? I'm like, I need you gone, be gone. But signage, traffic flow, think in terms of traffic flow. Okay? I've seen booths set up right at the start of a convention. Okay? Everyone, and they're like, yes, this is a great space because I can get maximum visibility. But everybody's going to be in line trying to get into the convention, which means it's going to bottleneck around you, and no one will see anything because they're worrying about getting into the convention. If you have multiple rooms, having signs that say, this way to a panel discussion room, this way to a vending hall, this way to... And see, with my things, it could be this way to the silent auction, this way to... There are vendors outside, too. You don't want to leave anyone unreferenced from the front. So you want to try to make it as navigable as possible.
Mm-hmm. I said signage is huge. Hours are huge, too.
Yes.
That's one thing. It's like you don't always, when you walk into a con, you're like, well, I don't know how long this is going to be here for the day.
Right. Is it
also,
today?
don't tear down early if you don't have a reason to. That is one of my pet peeves. Is people will go, well, I'm not selling anything. I've been here for 3 hours. I'm out of here.
And I'm torn on that because I don't see competition when people are there. But if they want to cut out like a and run, then it's like then the like competitive. Oh, look, more customers for me. I hate it. Like I would never want somebody to do it, but if they do it, I have no problem profiting potentially from it.
Right. Well, and yes, I get that. Not competition, but it is one less person that's there.
Yeah,
but...
I hate to put it that way, but now as a con runner, if you warn me ahead, okay, sure. Because what I'll do is I'll make sure you are in a place where you can leave without disruption. So, referencing IndieCD.com, Carl and Donna weren't sure how long they could be there. Now, that site had only one accessible entrance and exit, not, exactly what you want, but it's what we had. So they were very close to the door, set up so that if they left, they could easily get out with their stuff, and then I could come by and expand some of your material across the way over to where they were, so that they would, it wouldn't be an empty space for any congoers to think that, well, what's missing, what was here. It doesn't look like a Wild West rolled up ghost town. So you have to think in terms of this. You track personalities. If you have a big draw that's going to pull people in and have them there for a long time. So if you have a booth that's very interactive, or the person always pulls people in, you want to put that in the back. You want to think in the I hate to say it, but
Grocery store.
what?
Like the grocery store. Put the milk in the
Exactly.
back.
I can't remember who wrote it, but there's an amazing set of books on the layout of grocery stores and malls and casinos. It can be predatory architecture, but at the same time, understanding things like traffic flow and necessity will help a lot. It's like you want booths near where the food is, but you don't want them next to the food because you're going to have the line of people of the food, and they may or may not notice the booth, but they will guarantee no one can see it to get to it. So things like if you have a T intersection, don't put a booth right at the T intersection because no one will be able to process it or no one will be able to get through. You were saying?
And I was going to say, and as somebody who's setting up a con and putting people there, you do not want to necessarily put 3 people that make the dice next to each other.
Right.
Spread them out.
Right. If you're big enough, or if you're big enough, or your vendor pool is small enough, you want to distribute.
Mm-hmm.
There are exceptions to that. There are concepts that people who go to a lot of cons expect.
I mean, like Artist Alley, that's one
Exactly.
thing. I mean, that's a specific thing, but it's an Artist Alley. You know it's going to be artist. So
right.
you
can do that, but even if you're doing like an RPG alley, if you've organized things like block, you still can break it up where you have a small publisher and then a dice person, and then somebody who's doing miniatures, then another dice person, or whatever. I'm just using the repeat of dice person because it's handy and fairly common.
Literally handy. You throw them with your hand. Okay.
Right. And I love handmade dice. I have my bucket. I have some glow-in-the-dark ones right here that were made for me by Frog G.
I haven't seen Frog for a while.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in a while either. I'm going to reach out, make sure he's doing okay. But when you're setting up, you want to have the signage. You want to think in traffic flow. The best way to serve everybody is to know who your biggest draws are and put them in a place that gives them the space and their needs while making sure people go through the smaller guys to get there. So even if they are in a hurry to get there, they get a double pass over what they may not know. Again, I can use IndieCD.con as a microcosm. I put Luke on one side, and I wasn't trying to keep him by himself, but I knew Luke would be bringing a larger display than most people. And because he had so many comics out and a few giveaway type comics, there would be people loitering.
Mm-hmm.
So I factored in the space of his booth and the loitering. Now, this year there was a big gap in the middle. That's because due to some shenanigans, I think we had 6 people who said they were coming drop out. Now, if you went, it looked like there was just a lot of room to work. But I factored that in, and I put the people who were most likely to flake out, I hate to put it that way, in the center. When you are setting up for where you want vendors, there's always a balance between having them seen, like you have at the mall shows where people's tables are out, and then having them secure. Because optimally, you want to be able to put the vendors where their backs are to the wall or their backs are to another vendor, and preferably you have some kind of temporary barricade in the middle, which I know this sounds boring stuff, but it will save your butt in stress, because I know when I don't have a wall behind me and I can't hide my cash boxes easily, there's concerns because theft happens. Usually the stuff that people try to lift off of my booth are the little things, so
And stuff like that.
Pins, the jewelry, because Mandy does a bunch of stuff, so my booth is very
Eclectic.
And then we, because of the way we set things up, my booth is actually me and Mandy's booth, which was me, Mandy, and Trey's booth, and me, Mandy, and Trey and Joey's booth. And Trey and Joey now have their own setup going. So it's like we come in, and what I like to tell people is I bring a convention to the convention. Because I have at least one gaming table to demo BSR, or sometimes an RPG I'm running or whatever. So there's this, our format is a little different than a standard flat tables, etc. But let me see.
Sarah's falling asleep. I think we're boring her.
Are we boring, Sarah?
I hope not. I just thought she's like, I'm dozing off.
I can be more obnoxious.
Oh, so can I. We know that I can be. We're actually behaving today.
Bringing cards to cons, knowing they might. Okay.
No, she's not boring. She's to get enough sleep. I'm going to show something here that I work on. I need another binder. But when I go to cons and I get cards, and not everybody does this, and I do this a lot because of what I do in general.
Right.
But
that's beautiful.
How I tape it on a piece of paper. Oh, Charlie Ray, she's going to be at some stuff coming up too. But it's hard to see, and it's heavy.
No, honey, I see what you're doing. You're making a sheet. Because I have a very similar folder thing that I'm making where it has photos of when I get a business card. If I have time, I get a picture. Now I came up with it later, but what I'm going to start doing is saying, please hold up your business card, and I'm going to take a picture of you with your business card, because that will associate the name with the information. Because we went to Region Con. I think I left with 25 business cards, not counting duplicates. It gets really tricky to remember
who's who.
And I'm actually going through the sorting process of, we got everything from the con back. Have we unpacked properly yet? No.
Oh, there's still stuff I'm working on from NDCD Con, and it's a work in progress. It really is. It's ongoing. And as somebody that works with more the planning and doing that I have this for me. This is not for somebody generally that's just going to be like, oh, I'm going to go to QuadCon this weekend. This is where you network, and you have to network too. That's the other thing too.
Yeah.
You might not remember everybody that you meet, but at least try to put their name in a list or put.
And it's very hard to do.
It's easier said than done, but remember people. That's right. The networking is going to be huge.
And that's where I tend to, I look for the diamonds in the rough. When I'm when I'm going through a con, it's like there's 3 or 4 levels to me. What I'm as a vendor, I'll see people. It's like I want to know / track them because I personally am interested in their wares, regardless of anything else. And something could be in multiple categories. There are people I know and track that I've mentioned, like Sarah Noe and Silhouette. I would love to further network and actually pull them in. I met a lovely young lady named Trinity who was running a booth at the con. And I was really pleased because she actually sought me out on Facebook reached out. She remembered my name and said, I lost the business cards. What is that organization that you are part of, that you were talking about? And I'm like, oh, Indie CD, or do you want to know about the videos? You can come on the video. We can learn a lot from going in, from that. And it's like, I hope she gets to show up in the chat at some point, because this is a very different thing that we have here. That's not like other book, or I don't even. I think the term is shill shows. You see a lot of shill shows where, well, we're going to talk a bit, and here's the Kickstarter, and you never see that person again, until, or they show up only when they have a Kickstarter. And I have no problem running ads and promoting people's Kickstarters and stuff. I live for that crud. The vast majority of people, I do it for free, but it does mean that I can have a program like this and say, guys, I know I'm not putting a lot of promotion out, but this information is important enough that the flow needs to be preserved. So we may or may not have, a lot of time for ads.
Well, and you look at somebody like Mike Jimmy, who is across the pond. He is recently married, a new dad, trying to get life on Cora going. Yeah, he's not going to jump in here all the time. But we all know this because he has made a connection with us personally.
Absolutely.
And so, I mean, it's like he's got one coming up, a Kickstarter. And it's like, if he popped in here right now and said, which I don't know, that if he said, hey, I'm doing this Kickstarter coming up, we're going to support him, whether he's here every day or not, because he's made an imprint.
Absolutely.
So, Chris just said Halicon has some exciting news for those who haven't heard yet. So I'm skipping. I know we have not done comments at all today, and I've been watching them, and hold on here. I'm going to share a screen. I can't put it up, but that is who the special guest is at Halicon this year.
Oh, wow. See, that is really cool. And I'm glad to see that voice actors are increasingly getting the respect, perhaps, that they deserve, because for a long time they weren't really recognized, especially somebody like Eddie Deason, who's been in, as you can see, everything,
Yeah. If you don't know him as Mandark, you know him as Eugene. You might know him as the know-it-all kid on Polar Express. And
I've said it many times. Don't worry about being typecast, because it means you've been cast. If a lot of people say, don't get typecasted. No. Typecast is longevity. You only worry about not being typecast too hard if you are gold medal, peak, grade A actors, which yay for them. Everybody else, you got to work. And, this man, whether people realize it or not, has been so many people's childhood is just been affected by this guy, and they have no idea, because it's just mind-blowing,
Because when you say his name, a lot of people are like, I don't know who that is. And then you bring this up and like, oh my God, using that and that and that. Oh, yeah, they get excited. And
right.
I mean, many times I grew up as a Grease girl. I mean, I could do that movie word for word. We did so much. So I'm really excited to meet you.
Well, you should. We'll take that down for a moment, though,
okay.
Because it's exciting for Halicon, and I can't wait to hear how Halicon went. That's the thing. How you approach celebrities, we understand it's a sliding scale, and place them is something else. Again, these are going to be draws, and these are going to be people who are going to attract loitering, not just people in line to see them, but the folks who, I don't have time to stand in line, so I'm going to stand over here and kind of peek. and that gives its own set of special needs. So if you're going to bring a celebrity, a personality, I think personality might be the better word for it.
Mm-hmm.
Not only do they need a literal green room, they need a place that they can, decompress free of the public. They need a means of getting there. So that with a celebrity, especially the high panel kind of thing, if you have deployable curtain wall kind of things where you can make a secondary hallway that they only have access to, they can duck out and go where they need to go.
Mm-hmm. And Holocon's going to be a lot different than, say, QuadCon.
Right.
For a celebrity. You got to look at all of that stuff. So, and Chris wants to know, what's your favorite role of his? Of Eddie Deason?
I'm not sure. Do you? Well, I mean, he's one of those where they're so, again, a typecast. What he does, he's the best at what he does, and it's not really nice. Although it kind of is. He does geek representation really well. So there's this overlap of I appreciate a good villain, and I appreciate a good foil. And one of the tropes of a good foil is the slightly nasal nerd guy who, either the main character has to bounce off of, or is that support character who helps them along. But he's been so far in that role, it's like it just clicked. So it's, I hate to say he's one of those character actors, voice actors, whatever, however you want to put it, where it's someone I recognize and I'm terrified that I would identify with. You know what I mean? I hate to put it that way, but it's just one of those. I hear him constantly, and now that I'm looking at the shows, my brain's going, "Oh, he was in that," because I bet he played Megavolt in Darkwing Duck. I'd be surprised. I'm trying to remember who he played.
I'm not sure I've had a Darkwing.
But let's see. Chris says I'm being smart. Oh, Richie says grouping complementary vendors, not by style, not just but personality. You do have to be careful with that, because if you put somebody who is very outgoing, they can overshadow a quieter booth, and there's no chance. But if you, to offset that, if you put too many very outgoing people, you end up with carnival barker syndrome, which is how a lot of the group support groups, the vendor support groups feel these days. Where if you go into, I'm making one up so I don't offend anybody. That's why I'm taking a second. But like, if there was a Appalachian gamer RPG group, right? What you would have is a gaggle on like Facebook or social media of authors in that genre going, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book. Somebody would be putting up memes for Old Gods of Appalachia, because that's the most known in that arc, apparently, and then there'd be people shouting, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book, a thread of a conversation that's forgotten, and that turns off customers. If you go into a group and all it is I'm making this, buy this, I'm making this, buy this, it's like watching QVC,
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I don't want to have my feed turn into a home shopping network. And I had to, for a while there, I think the algorithm for Facebook and Twitter thought the best thing for me in the world was the word Kickstarter. I could not find friends or family, but I had nothing but Kickstarters in my feed. Because I was promoting a few, and they're like, oh, this is what you're about.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nothing wrong with promotion. I'm all about promotion. Hashtag always promote. But if that's all you do and that's all everyone is doing, anyone walking in is instantly overwhelmed. and your message is lost in the noise. And I've walked in, it could be my neurodivergence. I accept it, but I've walked into aisles at like ILF, the not ILF, ALF, American Library Federation. They have a con in Chicago, and you're talking multiple chunks of McCormick Place con. This is once every 5 years it comes back to Chicago, I think, because it rotates around the country. This is a huge multi-thousand people coming through event. There are aisles where you'll walk in and there's so many authors and people hawking their stuff and small publishers, and they're just so loud you can't stand to be in the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to think about that in our presence, both as vendors and as showrunners. So it is a balance thing. Now, another thing I need to talk about, and again, this is one I'm going to have to be careful with, because I've been to several cons recently. I haven't talked about all of them, both as, I work them and I go to them. If you have volunteers, they need to be trained in basic, rudimentary customer service. Because we had an incident where we were at one con and they were cleaning up, but they had changed the schedule. Like one day they said, time is here, the con runs from this time to this time, you have till this time to get out. And then they tried to shorten it by an hour the day of, because they wanted more time to do extra cleanup. Which, okay, I get that under theory, but you can't crunch. I mean, you can't crunch that down. And what they didn't look into was matching their schedule with teardown. So they had a big situation where presentations are going on and they stopped. So let's say, con's supposed to close at 10. Theoretically, you're supposed to be out of there, but everybody's supposed to be out by 11. And at 9 o'clock, all the programs have ended. All the games have ended. That means everybody who's been gaming is now going to go do their shop run before they leave.
And they know they're against time, so they're going to hurry. They're not looking to dawdle at that point in time either.
Well, they're going to come in, and that's when you're going to get one of your biggest hits as a thing, especially in like a gaming convention where a huge amount, the attendees will, and they'll just all be busy for a while, and it'll get real quiet, and then they'll break for lunch. Everything will be chaotic. They'll get food, they'll check everything, and they'll sit back down, and then they go to check at the end, because a lot of times, long-term con goers know a lot of times the vendors will mark things down at the end.
Because they don't want to tack that crap back up. I'm not crap. I shouldn't say that.
No. It's all crap. It's all stuff. At the end of the day, we have to get it in the van. And what happened was big rush and things are moving. Now they said, you could start tearing down as early as 9 o'clock in this big thing. And a couple people did while customers were going through. I had customers. I have to serve my customers. Bam, bam, bam. Especially on one that was a fairly slow event. That gets done. They are literally hitting us with the vacuums to try to force us out. It's like, you told us 11 o'clock. It's 10:15.
Mm-hmm.
That is not something you want to have happen at a convention, because that's going to really upset the vendors. And when you're working and running cons, you learn real fast. If a vendor comes to you and is nah, you go, oh, okay, you are a Karen. And this is one of the other things I track. As a showrunner, when I go to the conventions, I watch how all the vendors act, how the people around them respond. So if you have somebody that draws people in everybody's having a good time, regardless of what it is. And they're not complaining about things. They're running things in a professional manner. Everything looks good. As a showrunner, I am more likely, I want your card, because when I'm doing a con, I'm going to reach out to you expressly. I'm going to say, I am doing a con. Would this work for you?
Mm-hmm. And that's how QuadCon is. I mean, believe his name is John. He's very into, if he doesn't want you back, he's not going to let you come back.
And it's interesting because I started going to LodgeCon. And we started going to LodgeCon because the guy who runs LodgeCon he's like, you are always at this convention. Yeah. And you do this, and this every time. It's like, you're consistent. Everybody's happy. There's, everything's organized. We don't leave a mess. And guys, getting into this community, it's a huge community, but it is incredibly small when it comes to gossip. Because if you are sitting at a convention, and when you are, and you're set up at 10, and nobody's going to be there till noon because it's a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning, we all talk. The vendors talk, the staff talks, everybody talks. I shouldn't have to say this, but if you are going to be a vendor, whatever happens, don't be a 7-letter word. You know what I'm saying? It ends in hole. I'm trying to.
I'm serious. I knew that, but I was trying to think of other 7.
Oh yes, there are other, but
that's 8.
That's exactly.
That's
but
8 letters.
It's very easy to get a reputation and very hard to get past one. Mm-hmm. And likewise, you learn, like, some people will come to you as a showrunner and they will say, this is wrong and this is wrong. And you nod and you smile and you go, you're absolutely right. I will fix this at earliest convenience. And then as soon as they're out of the way, you decide what you're going to do. And usually it's just, that's so-and-so being so-and-so. They're not bad, but they're a bit of a pain. But if there's somebody who's been consistent and they say, this is a problem, and they don't bug you a lot, that's a problem you want to look at, and you want to respond, even if you have to do the same thing of smile and nod. Okay, I will work on that. That's all you need. But what you don't want to do is imply that you don't believe them. Even if you don't believe them, you don't say, I don't believe them. You don't isolate them. You don't. Because I've seen this. I've been through it. Where
Hi, Donna. And I think they're getting ready for kitty lunch, so.
Okay, well, bye to anybody who's leaving. You can catch the rest in the rerun.
And Foxy said, "Baby, if we save up, build inventory for the year first. That's a big thing too. Is you're networking now. There's so many people that jump into it and go, I have one book. I'm going to be a 1 million copy seller. But Carl's back. He fed the cats. But your one book, that is the teeniest little speck of sand in the entire world, that you could sell 1 million books when you have just one book out. But it's that networking is huge.
Right. And you know how I said, don't be a blank hole. If you are nice, people will remember that. And there are a few things that will sell anything. Books, art, whatever. Games. You're either going to sell it on its own merit, which is optimally what you want. You want your book to be good enough that people look at it and they read the blurb. Your art is good enough. Your game is good enough. Your music is good enough. Whatever you're doing is good enough that sells it. That is the optimum. It takes huge effort to get eyes on it, but you're going to sell it by the merit. You're going to sell it by your personality.
And
if
like one of the
if-
things I know people are against is like, well, don't greet everybody. Well, if they happen to glance my way, I will say hi to them. I'm not going to automatically give them an elevator pitch just because they glance at me.
no,
I
but
just say hi. But that's why people are shy, because they'll be like, well, I don't want to look at this person because they're going to carnival bark me.
right.
But if you just say hi, even just hi as they're walking by, they're going to be like, oh, well, they didn't jump on me to buy
Yeah.
something. I'm going to go back and see what they might have.
And a lot of it is understanding how to read your customer. If we're stepping down to the vendor level,
I know we're all over the place, so we apologize.
This wasn't
It's me,
planned.
what
There's
do you
a lot of
expect?
knowledge being put here. You need to be able to cold read. Cold reading is the art of getting information about somebody with very minimal observation. So you're going to look for body language, vocal tics, appearance. This is not stereotyping. Stereotyping is looking for a reason to be negative. This is how are they moving. So if somebody comes up to my booth and they're looking at my art and they're kind of doing the, pangolin, those little guys, they got scales, but they're not really. They're little. They always look like they're nervous and kind of maybe. Excuse me, sir. I have another. This is not the person you go, hey, how you doing, kid?
Right. And
beep, Richie. But no.
oh, by the way, I had to do this real quick. Holy. Okay. I'm sure you didn't hear it, but
Oh no, I could hear it. That would have actually got my ear to pop. It was just a vibrato thing. But the understanding that that's going to be the person where I will be, and I'll go, hey, you okay? And it's hi, and I will just reach out and put the dimmer on because they're light sensitive, and okay, we'll talk. But at the same time, while I want to put the dimmer on, I want to make sure that they realize that they've been acknowledged, that they've been greeted, and those aren't the people you hard sell. Because you can. I'll be honest. If you want to be dark side about it, you can hard sell them once. You can use force of personality and get them to buy just about anything that you want them to buy once. But if you do that, they will never come by again, and they will never forget it.
And they will tell their friends, and they tell two friends, and they tell two friends, and so on.
It's sort of like my family in Zales. The 30, 40, God. Had to be about 50 years ago, my dad walked into Zales to look at engagement rings. But he was a poor sailor, so he wasn't, dressed really well. They wouldn't even talk to him. And then they asked him to leave. Now, mind you, he had a few grand accessible, and he was going to get, a nice ring. He's been talking about that for 50 years. Now, I know this because when I was getting engaged, I had walked by Zales, and they had these big display fake diamonds. Okay? And I know they're fake. But being me, I'm like, I want to know where they get them. So I walk up and go, excuse me. I'm going to say I'm looking for medium, engagement rings, but I want to know, where did you get the big diamond? The guy looks at me and goes, look, you can't steal it, okay? I'm like, one, it's behind glass on both sides. I'm just curious where you got it as a display. I make things. And I know that's a big glass diamond. I don't know where you guys bought it. That's because he's like, well, I looked at it and I said, what's the commission on a $1,500 ring for you? He looks at me funny. Says, well, I'm not going to tell you that. Well, you just lost it. And I'm going to talk about this. Now, if Zales wants to change that with me, they're more than welcome as a company to reach out and give me a formal apology to me and my father, and I will acknowledge that. But until then,
Right.
and I haven't set foot in there.
Well, and Rich made a really good point. I don't know if you can pull that up. It says, sadly, the arts needed to be good sales focus. Also, the skills needed a successful scammer / charlatan.
Absolutely.
And there's truth to that, but it's like, what do you use your powers for?
No, that is exactly one of the things I've had to grapple with.
I think so.
I'm going to say ignorance or apathy. You can choose. I do not know, and I do not terribly care.
I'm not a jewelry person, so I really have no clue. I mean, I literally. but that's a good, very good point, Rich.
And back to the point, yes.
And Foxy's
knowledge of anatomy can be used by a doctor. It can be used by an assassin. It can be used by a butcher. I don't want to say it was one of my favorite movies because it was very gory and intense and a little bit more than I'm comfortable with. But a very impressive movie is The Gangs of New York. And one of the characters was called something the Butcher. And he's called that because he practiced his knife fighting and on pigs because upright the anatomy was close enough that you could show. That information is stuck with me since I watched that. But you have to decide if you're going to use your powers for good or evil. It's all what's in the toolbox. I have certain skill sets that make me a nightmare for people like you. No, sorry. But I could use them for a lot of nefarious means if I ever wanted to. Or I could help people who have specialized problems. For example, I was applying to enter lockpicking contests in college. There's a group called Tool, the organization of something lockpickers, and it's like honorable or something. But and it's literally just they time themselves how fast can you pick a lock. Has this helped me help friends who are locked out of their own house in foul weather? Yes. Did I pick every lock that I've picked with the permission of the owner? Absolutely. It's ethics. It's like I carry a knife. Sorry. My glow in the dark one actually disappeared recently, but I have my backup little knife.
We're gonna just say it was Stuart because it's always the orange cat.
I really think they grabbed hold of the little fabric thing and drug it off. I'm not even being facetious at this point. So I just have to figure out where my neck knife has been drugged. It's probably under furniture somewhere. But
and I just want to say too, if you make it before this thought pops out of my brain, that's my biggest thing is why I'm interrupting. And just because you make a contact with somebody doesn't mean you have to make that sale right then and there.
No. Because I remember being too broke to buy things. And going into there was one Tockert II game shops. It's no longer here. It's called Lightspeed Hobbies out of Portage. And I would go in and I would walk to the clearance aisle in the way back and I'd get like the discounted miniatures to use in games and game time. Because I only had little money. Very, very often I only have little money, but I'm trying to support a brick and mortar, so I'm going out of my way. And I go out and the owner goes, so are you ever going to buy something that isn't on clearance? And I'm like,
I think that's a Josh greeting.
Yeah, I looked at him. I went, "Yeah, from Amazon, because you." And and I was done. You know. Um, but then I've walked into places where I'm looking at stuff, and I walked. I'm another comic book shop. I want to say it was Heroes Haven in Michigan City. I'm not sponsored by them, but it was my friendly local game and comic book shop, and I'm very loyal to them. Guy that runs it named Pat, great guy. And my son Xander and I would go and we'd check things out, and some days we had money and some days we didn't. And we were looking around, and I told him, "I'm sorry, bud, I don't have the cash right now to get you anything, but we can look at the fun stuff and we'll come back later." And he heard that, and he went, "No, you know what? Come here," because we went in all the time. And he gave us one of the leftover free comic book day comics because we came in all the time, and he understood. It's like I went in because he sold magic cards, and I said I had a card my nephew gave me. It got lost in the move, and I had it up because it was Fencing Ace. It's a magic card, and the little sword fighter but the flavor text on it is, "His skills give hope to the guildless." I was given because of the Historical Fencing Guild, and I tried to track it down. He goes, "Hold on," and he digs out and goes, "Here." I'm like, "Okay, how much?" He says, "I didn't say. It's this much." I said, "Here." Dude, it was like a 5-set card. I just happened to have one and enjoy. And I still remember that. I still talk about that. There are vendors I've met that I'm now great friends with, That's how I got to know Brian K. Morris.
Okay, right.
Yeah. Yep.
There. But it doesn't even have to be necessarily sale wise. When you're at a convention, I don't know how many times I've made it, because everybody knows I'm a crazy cat person.
Yeah.
Where some people have a cute cat shirt on, or have a saying like, "Oh my God, that's so me." It's not even about trying to get them to come over to the booth to buy. It's literally, I'm just paying them a compliment. And it's
Right.
a true blue. There's nothing facetious about it. There's no underlying, "I want to get you to buy something." It's literally me.
Nefarious. Yeah.
And those people will come over and you'll sit there and just chat with them. And it's been that they've come back and been like, "Oh, well, I kind of want to buy this." It's like, "Oh, cool. That's not why I called you over," but you made that connection to them.
Right.
And if they wouldn't have bought anything, that wasn't the point of me talking to them even at that point in time to get them to buy. It was because I wanted to compliment them. But I made that connection. And then they wanted to support.
And see, it's always hard because for one of the first times ever, I actually didn't give a little extra at this last convention because I had a young lady come up and she said,
"Bye, Joe."
"Oh, bye. Thank you, Joe."
See you tonight. There is a burning is yarn or wood. There's something going up in smoke.
Our sanity. I'm sorry, Joe.
That went up in smoke a long time ago.
Joe left that I had to wait. But what it was this young lady came up and she said, "Will you draw me?" And I said, "Well, it's $20, but I can pull the price down." And she goes, "I don't have any money, but you should draw me anyway." And I went, "I'm sorry, this is my job. I kind of have to." And it's one of those, if she had offered $1, if she had, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But one thing you have to be careful with as an artist is people will demand free art, not ask. And the difference between asking and demanding is so,
Well, look at my babies. I'm going to show it on camera. This is my phone.
Yeah. I love how that looks like Mr. and Mrs. Smith. You know, just the way it's cropped.
It worked perfect. I wish I had all of them on there, but that's the way it would crop it. You don't know how many times I show people that. Like, oh yeah, this is, you know, and
I love, and a part of me really regrets, because normally I would have been happy to. And she was one of those people who's interesting. I would have loved to draw her, but just the approach felt, I hate to say, entitled.
Mm-hmm.
Now I know she's going to remember forever that I did not give her free art, but at the same time, at some point you have to balance that out. And I'm not sure if I did the right thing on that one. I'm still thinking about that, but it's that it's all in the presentation.
Yeah, I'm sorry we missed so many comments today.
Oh yeah,
I think this has been a good discussion. I hope we haven't been boring people. I mean, we're not as crazy as the laughing and stuff last Wednesday night. Oh my God.
Well, what happens is every once in a while we have to have these conversations, because they're not as fun to just goof off. And I'm seeing people green room themselves and have a great time in the chat. And I'm glad you can. And that's our normal thing, especially on a Wednesday.
And there's been some freaking hilarious stuff coming through that I've seen. And I apologize. And sometimes you can see my facial expressions as you make the comment. I read it. You probably know I've read it.
But, you know, I look through these because these are amazing people. And yes, I'm so glad to see you. I am sorry I haven't been able to chat with you.
I saw Alec pop in. So,
and you know, of course, Sarah. But I think we have to keep in mind how much our actions reflect later, because a lot of people have developed some bad habits of the safety of the keyboard, the safety of anonymity.
Keyboard warriors.
You know? And I just saw it again today. The video of the dogs who are barking at each other from the cracked door, and they open the door wider, and they're all nice, and they close the door, and they get again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing that increasingly in people, and I've seen that in some vendors where they're angry you didn't purchase something, or they're angry that somebody else is getting more stuff. And that will be remembered by other showrunners. That will be remembered by other customers. Oh, I know you guys have been entertaining yourself very well. But
I just green roomed myself with just the face.
It happens. But by realizing that and taking responsibility for it, which Nick's talking responsibility. Next he's gonna say horrible words like sacrifice and I mean,
employment. Oh
God, no. Organization. Before I say anything else, I will say this, and it is a golden rule that there may have been this discussion about this for years. When you pack your van, truck, rig, whatever, you're going to think that you can put your tables on the bottom and put everything else in its stable, and that's nice. Do not do that. Don't. However you have to pack yourself stuff, however you have to sort it out, the tables are on top because they need to be the first thing to go out and the last thing to come in. And I'm trying desperately not to laugh at the Foxy
but she's
Sarah
innocent
comments. And as an artist, I'm really trying to keep my imaging brain like controlled by sanity because, you know.
She did have an art request. Foxy did. I did not. She goes, I know I'm not going to, you're showing it today, but Can I put the request in? And I can't remember what it is. So Foxy, can you drop that again? What your request was?
And I can give it a shot. I'm just not, I don't want to tease you with art and go, I kind of did this behind the scenes because I just had a delightful conversation with online with answering a question that Nita Lanning put out about how would you respond if somebody privately came and asked you, are you using AI art because your stuff looks too good, and is there a way you can prove that you didn't? How do you respond to that?
What they're trying to get you to do is draw a specific picture for them. If they that's how I would take that.
Well, and my response was, well, you can go to my YouTube channel.
Fancy frogs.
Maybe you guys don't know this, but I tried to take all the whenever I remember to hit the time lapse, the time lapses, and I have a big playlist that should be public of just the art time lapses. You can turn it on and have like 200 or 300 pictures just draw themselves in front of you. And it's not like you can't hit the play slow to see how I did it.
If somebody is going to be that way about it, no matter how much you try to prove it to them, they're going to be skeptical. They're going to, it's one of those. My stuff. I'm saying this as an artist. My stuff is my stuff. I don't do AI, but if you believe that somehow along the line I'm doing AI, that's on your belief system, and that's somebody I probably wouldn't want to associate with anyways. But to leave them on a decent.
I will say this: I have tried one of the AI generators once, and only once. I did not share the results. When they very first came out, before anybody really knew what they were or how they got their stuff, I entered in something like purple-haired cat chick to see if it could do it. And I looked, and it spat out an anime purple-haired cat chick with, gnarly hand, because of course it did, and straps that weren't connected to anything, right? Yeah. And I looked at it and I went, that's creepy. And then what bugged me was I saw a swirl on the edge of it, a little smear, like a squiggle, just floating there. And I went, what the heck? This is weird. And I mean, this is right when they first started to come out. So I started looking around, and then I saw more, the first ones, they came out, and a whole bunch of them had the same bizarre swirl, and I realized that's how I found out they were scraping. What that is the remnant of the signature from the person that the art was stolen from. And it was very common in the early AI. I'm like, what the hell? So yes, one thing I was taught by my father, and I embraced as much as reasonable, and perhaps more than is normal, is to avoid contempt prior to investigation. And that means just hating something before you don't know about it. Now, there are, of course, logical exceptions to this rule, narcotics, for example, or things like that. But I try to give concepts and people a very fair chance, many times at my own detriment, because it's fair. My paladin comes out real hard. It's like, well, no, I have to give you a fair shot. I have to give you a fair warning or whatever. But I can't fathom using something like that. And I'm seeing more and more people who are both taking the shortcuts early and then running into the wall when they realize, wait a second. There's either pushback. A lot of places are flat out refusing AI art.
It's almost like the whole thing of you can just when you're saying that, you do the hard sell, you get people, they're going to buy it once.
Yeah.
It's that same concept of you don't do it right. It's if you don't do it too many people want to go from step A to step D, don't want to do B and C. And then all of a sudden they hit D, and then somebody's like, well, how do you do B? And you're like, into your headlights, and you've lost all credibility.
And that's something else I wanted to talk about, from the vendor, author, whatever journey. I know I'm weird because I won't tell you. I won't just say I made this or I didn't make much. If you ask, I'll bring up my KDP. Here are my lifetime sales since 2016, and it's not impressive in any way, shape, or form, but it is there. You're going to hit points where you plateau, and you're going to hit points where you're not where you want to be. And there will always, whenever you're there will always be a temptation from folks to, I know the shortcut. It's like there's a gentleman I was following, talking about how he handles Amazon reviews and how to level up, and he had published vast amounts of stuff and made a lot of money through KDP. And I was watching his channel, and all of a sudden he went, yes, AI is a wonderful tool. You use it to get your framework, figure out a substance, and then just fix it for your writing, because he's essentially mass producing nonfiction. Or I almost want to call it semi-nonfiction, because there are a lot of these like self-help books that are not as accurate as they claim to be,
Mm-hmm.
That's and figuring out where the line to use something, because Rich puts AI is useful for me to get a mock-up, and my problem is I see that, and I can't. And the reason I can't is twofold. One, it does have that sense of cheating. It's that step too far. And two, because people say, well, you're doing the same thing when you scroll through Google and look for reference image. And I'm only recently getting where I'm comfortable using reference images. Because it used to be, if I wasn't doing a portrait, like if I wasn't saying, okay, Don, I'm going to draw you, yada, 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 I wouldn't use references because I thought it was cheating. And what happened is at the end, I've watched a lot of artists and stuff. It's like, no, references exist to be referenced. So now I curate my referenced materials so that I can say, I got, this is a neat pose. Where did you get it? I used this book or this magazine, or I went on Google and I saw it at this, this page. So I can give credit to the reference.
Mm-hmm.
Thus supporting through attention the artist, photographer, or creator. And I am very careful. That's why I do so little fan art. I don't like the idea of profiting from other people's IPs.
Mm-hmm. Well, I get if you're trying to draw a hand in a certain way and you're like, I don't know how that knuckle needs to look. I can't get it to look right. That you can go on and do the reference on that. And on top of that, if you go to AI, is that knuckle really going to necessarily be the way you want it to look anyways? It could be the sixth knuckle. I don't, there is some AI that is absolutely gorgeous. I will admit that. But at the same time, it's not something that I push and I try to avoid.
Oh, and see, that's the thing. I can acknowledge that it's gorgeous. But that's the temptation wouldn't be tempting if it wasn't appealing. You know what I'm saying?
I look at it going, if I see something like I saw this cutest cat that was laying on its back, it was just adorable and it was AI. And I'm like, but somehow somebody did that originally to make that cat look similar to that. And that's what I want to see is the person who actually took the time to make the cat look like that.
Yeah.
Because, why would I not want an orange cat picture?
Absolutely. Let me see. I'm chatting, so I'm not gonna put music on, but fancy frogs in top hats.
Ooh, start your time. Did you start the time lapse?
Yes, I believe I did at the very beginning. Yes, because I almost didn't get to draw it, but I saw Foxy was asking for fancy frogs.
Mm-hmm.
Top hats.
I'm sitting here. She said that. I'm like, oh my god, they're going to tea with Dawn's fashionable feline.
So
that's right where my brain went.
Yep. Look, gonna real quick use this. Let's see. Going to tea. I'm sorry, that just I fly tea scares the heck out of me. It just does not sound appealing, but a fancy frog. And I am not doing construction like I should, but let's just do this. I want to keep him fairly froggy. Like not quite as humanoid as my first thought was. And frog butts are weird. Anyway, so we got this. But now we go here, we go here. This is very cartoony.
Foxy said, don't ask where these ideas come from. Brain is weird. So is mine. So is mine. Come on, I wanted a rabbit and daffodils.
And then Sarah wanted a gravestone, so I did both. But we'll do that. Sounds like he's kind of got that Muppet mouth. And we'll give him just like the collar. So he's got a monocle, and he's got like the collar. You can't see his tie. Okay, wait, no, because they wanted expressly wanted a coat and tails. Okay, so I'm gonna draw this just as a silly kind of thing. Those legs are all wrong. I haven't tried to draw a frog in years.
And so that's where it's like, okay, reference. What you know what a frog looks like. You will close your eyes, you can see it. But we were talking about reference to look at a picture of a frog to go, wait, what does the front feet look like on a frog?
And see, and that's the thing. I don't mind. I think you should go with the commercial. No, I'm not going to promote alcohol. Sorry, I can't do that.
But it would have been funny. And she's like, Sarah admitted it's probably still copywritten. So, yeah. Don't want to get you in trouble, Nick.
Yeah, and there are a couple things I will never actively promote, alcohol being one of them. I don't judge you guys, who do partake, obviously. But at the same time, I cannot, in good conscience, promote that. So we got this fancy frog with a monocle because it was demanded. Does he have eyelids? I guess he has. Man, that is very Sesame Street. I don't quite know why, but yes. There's a fancy frog. And we'll just kind of give this background. Y'all ask the strangest things of me. But
well, Foxy admitted that it was weird, but that's what we like to see where you come up with stuff then, where you end up with it.
Oh yeah. That's part of why I have you guys, do this. Because I wouldn't have at all, if I had planned to draw a fancy frog, I'd be going to, reference and stuff. Parasols and vaudeville canes.
Oh, Sarah said it was a joke. Oh, but that would have been fun. In a top hats, that would have been funny. But it is what it is.
So now I have to do this. Do this.
I just want to do a really quick shout out to Josh. I don't think he's in the chat, but with that weather coming in yesterday, his United Weather Network, he was keeping me in the know of what everything was looking like. So I want to just, like I said, don't know if he's in the chat. I don't think so, but I appreciate it. So thank you.
That is wonderful. We got this little dainty frog. Fellas, it is sundress season. I want to remind you that don't let a $18 sundress get you several $1,000s in child support. Be careful.
Oh my God, Sarah and Thesis and Foxy are cracking me up. Parasols and vaudeville canes with a platter of fried frog legs where they're dancing to.
No, we're not going to make them cannibalistic.
Oh, but Thesis wants to add a sword.
Thesis wants to add a sword. Okay, well, what we're gonna do? Wow, that's too thick. You know, you could zoom in, Nick. Yeah, but that feels like cheating. Everything you do feels like cheating. Stop it. Anyway.
Oh, and Miss Sarah said the joke's on you, Nick. She only spent $16 on the sundress.
Thank God I'm a moral man.
Oh, now we're gonna get a little cracked up.
Yeah, there we go. Well, you guys needed the art. Okay, so.
Sarah said swords are simple. Remember the title, The Simple Sword.
Oh yeah. But no, what I am doing, it's canonically, this is still a sketch layer, but
holy cow. Rich said instead of Budweiser, how about just Earl Grey, since you got two frogs? And Chris said, sword stuck to an annoying fly. Oh, the sword could be a sword cane.
That's what I was setting up for a thing. Hold on.
Oh, and Bladed Thesis added hot if you wanted to do the third frog. Oh my God, I love you people. Holy. She's barking in her sleep, so I'm trying to get her out of her dream state.
There we go. Earl Humpington, Lady Grey. Anyway.
Oh, and Chris said sundresses are a close second. Tube top dresses.
While they are both highly ranked, I'm going to have to put a politely disagree, but my ranking quite. But yeah. Anyway.
Oh my God! And Sarah said, and yes, a tongue slipping out to get the Disney cricket. Poor Jiminy.
No, that's that Nick gets sued line. Plus, frankly, Jiminy Cricket is one of the few Disney characters I identify with.
Oh. What's your favorite season? I have to ask. Thesis said that sundress season is his second favorite season. I'm scared to ask, but I have to. I walked into that. It's a straight line.
I'm pretty sure he's going to say fall. Thesis just strikes me as a fall person. But, okay, so we have... Yeah, okay, I can see the 80s rock babe, but that's a very specialized case.
Oh my God, Rich. Rich says sundress season often cause major jumps in family law cases in either support or divorce. So it just depends on if it's immediate or months down the line.
Yep.
And let me guess, her sundress sizes are just a little bit bigger than midsection at that point in time. Sarah said, still would be funny. Oh, so you don't want to draw him not just by the big mouse coming after you, but because it would be like cannibalism since you relate to the cricket?
Well, it's like, I think the cricket is one of the few characters on Disney that haven't been recently corrupted over years. I mean, they did a Mickey Mouse version that looks like freaking SpongeBob, and it's, I'm not one for the zoom in gross out imagery, but they added that to Disney flicks, which just seems traitorous.
Sarah said, what about holding a cricket phone? My God, girl, I love you. I think Sarah and I in a room together and Foxy with the three of us, I think could be really dangerous. Or fun. Or fun and dangerous.
Oh, I have no doubt.
Rich said a cricket bat. They are just having fun now.
That is literally where I was going, because there's a bit of a like someone does not approve of their love. So, Yes,
Sarah
I'm
agrees that
reasonably.
we could be very dangerous. But in a good way.
So there's your cricket bat. Okay, and yes.
And Thesis says that actually is fall, so you're correct. He likes women in sweater dresses just a little bit more than sundresses because the chill in the air makes for good snuggle weather. Ooh, so he likes the long term.
Yeah.
Chris said dangerous and fun, definitely. Did I do a squee for Chris?
No, you did not, because my ears haven't bled. I can't hear it.
Okay. Did you hear it?
Kinda.
Well, I hope the stuff that we talked about today kind of gives some people a little bit of direction. And I want to say, if somebody wants to reach out to me at any time, I'm happy to give ideas. I'm happy to help. Like I said, the thing that sucks is people don't want to role play. And because every time in school, the teacher would say, "Oh, you're going to role play," and people go, "Ugh." But it truly does help. And so if anybody wants to run something past me or anything, I will be happy to help. I'm not perfect by any means. So like I said, some spaghetti might stick for somebody, but not for the next person. So
Now, I will say, I will take, and from just about anybody in the Rising Tide or otherwise, my brain keeps saying endowed, and I'm going to get in trouble for trying to use that adjective. So,
not the green room. I don't have access to the sign.
hold on. I will green room probably myself on that one. There we go. Okay. Now, I'm looking for advice on leveling up from where I am sales wise, and I know I've heard that I should probably redo some of my covers. I know for my books, I've heard I know there have been editing issues. Mind you, I've had a few people come at me because, and I've lost the word, but I have written characters how they sound. Not there's a word for it, and I know if Dan's in the chat, he knows what I'm talking about. Anyway, Southern people, I'll add y'all, youans, you know what I'm saying, into the dialect, or if there's somebody from Boston,
Dialect.
I would write
Dan was
dialect.
watching.
But that I've had some people actually complain that I don't write speech in proper English with diction and what you have. I'm like, what have you? They're at least Haynes and Hellfire. They're middle class or poor for the most part, Appalachian folks in the South. They aren't going to sound like the Dowager Queen. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And part of it,
we must go to the house that your parents did not survive their attack. Shall we go? That's not what they're going to say.
yes, exactly. And I've been told, act all of this other things, but definitely needed for a character in that. Yeah, see, I know a lot of people have opinions about South. For example, in Hates in Hellfire 2, there is a Jamaican man. And he is a bit of an homage.
Use that word again.
Okay,
Fair enough.
there we
I
go.
noticed.
I know. Yeah, I know. Wait for the process. But not only does he speak with the Jamaican accent, but I've actually gone back and done a bit of research to make sure his slang is proper.
Sarah's got a very good point. Billy Ray Cyrus is never going to sound like Mark Wahlberg, and rightfully so.
Yes. And Miss Saren, the blessed angel who's doing my audiobook, amongst other things, one of my pet peeves when I'm reading is everyone sounds the same.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God. And it's just flat speech. Oh, no. I am dying, he said, as his leg was rended from his hip. This hurts bad. Ah. And then there's a little red mark through the that's too much emotion. That's how they wanted to treat my writing in basically all of primary, elementary through high school. No, you need to do it this way. I'm like, no, I need to write things that make you uncomfortable, because why are you writing horror? Are you tremble? I like horror. Cut it out. But
wait, isn't Troy playing Frogger if the weather's good?
I hope she's not with the weather, but yeah, Trey's usually playing Construction Frogger right now, and I'm kind of problemed by that.
She was in the chat earlier. Hi, Trey. I missed so many people because we started just chatting. But I want you to know I love every one of y'all.
We have chats, and we'll just call this... Okay, you guys can even with the window, you can't see the pop-ups. We'll call this Fancy Frogs, and I'll add the Nevermind the Furthermore bit and all that later.
You'll fluff it. Not that way.
And that is for Thesis, who's misbehaving. Thesis has been problematic. I see you. Yes, I do remember the plastic frogs for the game. Hold on. Wait. Let me get this saved, and let me get a new one real quick. No, I'm not doing that art, and you guys can't see it yet. Dang it. Anyway, okay. Now I'm going to turn. I'm not turning the time lapse on yet because she is talking about the dudes who look kind of like this. See, I seem to remember how they work. Lord knows I cleaned up enough of them.
Right now that looks really bad. In the sense it kind of has a green room-esque thing. Oh, dear.
There were these little plastic frogs, and they were basically shaped like this. And when you pushed on the funky tail part, it would spring down, and they'd go boing. Yes, I remember I worked as
so they catapulted
the mouse. Anyway, get rid of that frog because I don't ever want to see that thing again.
It was very green room-esque.
My problem is I've been tempted to go, I could do a green room art stream, only on Discord, but I know someone would record that and it would come back to haunt me, But, okay, so you guys got anything else you want drawn while we're sitting here?
No.
Yeah, the little rubber poppers.
Oh, I do remember those. They had like they were just, you turn them inside out, set them down, and then eventually they go pop.
Yep.
Yeah. They had Rice Krispie versions of them that had Snap Crackle Pop on the top
Yes,
of them
they
too.
did. Oh,
Oh, Lord.
we are scaring the younger ones, but
Okay, I'm gonna say this just because and to give you, it's not green room per se, but how about an 80s groupie girl?
an 80s, what was that word? I'm sorry.
A groupie, big hair.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like she's going to see Poison this week and
Okay,
next week.
that's what I needed to know.
Yeah.
Because, okay. Let's see.
It could be an homage to Firehouse since they just lost their singer.
Man, this is definitely taking me back hard. Hold on.
Oh, I can hear little Miss sneezing in the living room. Oh.
The cat?
Yes. Her nickname is, one of her nicknames is Little Miss. She usually gets called that when she's being sweet. And you feel bad for her. She's Little Miss. I can hear her sneezing.
Do this.
Jim and the Hologram. Wouldn't that be the Misfits, Sarah?
Hey, warriors, come out and play. Anyway, I need glass bottles to go. Ting, ting, ting. You have to know if you don't know. I don't know if I have time to do Goth Josie and the Pussycats. That is one I would have to do like reference of, but
That was I'm sorry, Chris. So CJ Snare, the singer of Firehouse. So I watched a React video the other day, and it was Generation X trying to guess cartoons from the 80s, and I got almost every one of them. And yes, Jim and the Holograms were on there.
that was the most messed up show ever. Like, okay, hold on. They were let's see, you said punk, so I could go a little bigger with it. Well, not bigger, but if it had been country, I would have had to pull up old Dolly Parton with this thing. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. It's like bangs, but it's higher, and it just kind of goes, oh,
super.
Yep.
Swoopies.
Yep. Okay, this has accidental grease energy.
That's okay. That's an homage to Eddie Deason.
You doing okay, bud? Okay, put your nuggets and fries in.
Hi, Xander.
Don says hi.
Again.
It means the world to him. Anyway, I'm just playing with the pencil brush anyway. Ever since the I don't know. I gotta think about this for a bit. Because I'm trying to figure out what kind of skirt I want to give her, and I've got 2 or 3 options. But I lost my gray. Give back my gray, you fiend. Anyway,
that's what she said. Oh wait.
Oh, now I have is it Bonnie Tyler blaring
totally
in my head? Where have all the good men gone, and where are all the gods? Where the street was Hercules, but
I'm old enough for a hero.
You tell me that's not a jam. You tell
It is.
that's still an absolute jam.
I was in
And I'm not
foot.
afraid to blare that crud. Really, my Zoom. Maybe my Ergo mouse may be wearing out. It's not quite being as safe as it should. I have a fancy select tool for this, but
Dan chimed in, holding out for Hero.
I like within the last week, I probably watched that video. Every once in a while, I'll watch it because it is the most 80s, like early 80s video ever made. Oh God, Bonnie Tyler or Bonnie Wyatt? Oh, but yeah, and this is still sketch layer, so no worries, guys. Actually, no, her eyes aren't open. She should be jamming. Hold on. Too big of an eraser. That scared me. I'm like, my original vanished.
She needs an eye patch now.
I have to fix a few things. And it's going to sound funny, but look at this. Switch to the good. Nope. I need that back. I want to give her like a little bit more nose.
Sarah said leather coat with the sleeves pushed up.
Oh,
with
yeah.
fringe. I added the with fringe part. Thesis thinks that he has the first Firehouse album somewhere on CD.
Nice.
Foxy said she looks like she's ready to punch somebody. It says shoulder pads. Oh, the horror. Foxy hated shoulder pads because they were itchy and they made her look huge. And Sarah said ditto. And my shoulders go down, so I didn't mind them as much because it kind of gave me a little bit more of a not a.
Yeah, it changes the silhouette.
Yeah.
That's what we need. We need some fringe. Thank you.
Sarah said, yes, I thought about the fringe too.
I want that. Xander, why is the door open? Well, guys, I'm going to run a quick commercial, and I will be back in just a moment. While you are entertained by the Mad Gasser. Yep, everything's okay. Xander just randomly decided to get the mail, and I didn't expect it, so I heard the door open in the middle of my stream. And fun fact, when the weather changes fast enough and it gets going, my door likes to randomly fly open.
At least everything is okay.
Everything's okay. So
the funny part is that's the second time we've been scared by the Mad Gasser, because when you froze up, that's one of the ones that Joey played.
Well, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Carl. We didn't mean to scare everybody twice today. Well, maybe we did.
Just a
little bit.
She's got to be like belting it. Because one thing about the 80s, people were more like, I would say they were less cool. Now, when I say less cool, I mean less fake aloof. You know what I mean? If they enjoyed something, they were more like, ha, I'm enjoying this. I don't know. Aside from like nerds getting thumped on, there was a different feel for oh, less of the forced starts with a C, not continuity, not compliance. Oh god, it'll come to me. But
It'll come to you at like 3 a.m. in the morning. You're seeing a dream. You're gonna wake up, put it on your phone, on your news feed, and everybody's good to know that's watching.
oh yeah,
Thesis says you want to watch a music video with genuine pain in the singer's voice. Look up Godsmack Truth, the end of the second verse, and you'll know what I mean.
yeah. And I don't mind Godsmack. But then again, I don't mind Mudvayne either.
Hey, they're local here. Mudvayne is.
Really, that's cool.
Yeah, this is where they came from. I saw them in 2004, I think.
Now, I will never, there are a couple artists, musical artists, that I will never really allow people to bash very much, in my opinion, in my presence. First, of course, being Miss Dolly, I will not stand for any attempt to slander her. But that's because she's probably the closest thing to an actual saint we have running around these days. That's actually a celebrity. She's not a billionaire because she keeps giving her money away.
That is one thing I love about her, though, too, is that she gives back. You give her money and she gives it to somebody who needs it.
Oh yeah. But anyway, I may this one may get a full render. I don't know. I'm running out of time, but I like this one, so I'm just gonna say. And yeah, it may change dramatically when it gets rendered. 80s. Oh wait, can't do it that way because it'll goof up. 80s. Wow. Creepy. I don't want to go full like White Snake on it, but that's tempting too. But no, the other one I won't let people disparage is Amy Lee, because I was listening. I was listening to her relatively new. She and Lindsey Sterling did an album together. But they were showing them on stage, and a couple friends were giving flack because she's put on some weight. And I'm like, she's in her 40s. She rocks harder than you and your entire line for 7 generations before and 7 generations to come. And you're giving her flack? Get out of here with that weak sauce.
I mean, I honestly am not a huge fan of hers, but it's just me. I don't think she's got talent. It's just something about her voice it scratches my ears.
But
I'm not taking away what that she is a good singer. It's just my personal feeling.
If you pay attention to the mute singers that I listen to, there is a line between what I can't hear and pure blinding pain, because whatever mechanism that means I can't hear it just routes like daggers in my ear. So there's a certain type of soprano that will just it's like, I think it's when someone closer to being an alto, but they've strained themselves into soprano so long. It's like agony. But I can listen to Amy Lee all day. And I did, because that's how I got through the unexpected last semester of college that I had that I wasn't supposed to have. I had to sit and write 2 20-page papers a week. No, a 20-page paper every week, 5-page paper every day for 2 classes that the same prof taught. He's like, yeah, well, I stagger. I give you a week off between big papers. I'm like, yeah, but so you can grade them. You have your classes staggered. I'm in both. Oh, it sucks to be you. Oh.
Well, damn.
Oh.
Well, like I said, that is my opinion, and I am not going to put anybody down if they do like her, and I'm not going to put her down. I mean, it's just
Well,
that.
see, and that's the difference. Saying I don't like a type of music or a type of singer, because of the merit of them, is very different than attacking a singer because she gained some weight.
That's bullshit. Well, and I hate to say this and use this, and I know I'm not a small person, but Kelly Clarkson, she's always on. Oh, she's heavy, she's skinny, she's heavy, she's skinny, she lost weight, and it's like she's not there to be a body model; she's there to sing.
And see, it's interesting because you brought up 80s. We got 80s music and stuff. And if you look at a lot of my favorite male singers, especially, they weren't terribly physically attractive individuals on the aesthetics. We used to actually rank singers on their capacity to sing, and now many of the singers are ranked on their capacity to dance. And part of that is because that music formula was discovered where someone processed the most popular. They took all the most popular songs from like the 60s on to the early aughts or something, and then they ran it through a analyzer, and they came up with this list of melody/rhythms that are most likely to generate and re-reference into nostalgia and would be the quote-unquote easiest on the ears. And many current songs are built off of this audio algorithm system. And the hazard of that is that's why so many of the pop songs and so many of the modern country songs not only sound alike, but you can take words and just shuffle them between them and it will still track because it's so formulaic. But, you look at...
Have you seen some of the singers from the 70s?
Oh, yeah.
There was some that were kind of, but you love their music, and because you didn't see them on it. There was no MTV. You might have saw them on, like Midnight Special or something, doing a performance, or Solid Gold, but...
Well, I mean, that feeds into why I can tolerate some authors' works, even though I totally disagree with their lifestyle or opinion. I was a fan of music in the 80s. Michael Jackson was a tremendous musical performer.
Mm-hmm.
Wackadoo. But a tremendous musical performer and an incredible dancer. I can separate these things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Again, I mentioned White Snake, and let's say Dee Snider. Let's get some Twisted Sister in here.
Oh my God, he is so nice. I met him at the ice cream shop.
Oh, yeah. The old heart is funny. There's this whole generation of very hard old school rockers who, when they're not doing their thing, are just awesome. Most of the metal guys are too. Like
I have a green room story about Dee Snider.
Okay.
It's not bad, but it's not something like if Alec is watching, I don't think it's something he needs to hear. But yeah.
Guess who forgot to hit record time lapse? Anyway, I guess I will be inking that later.
Oops.
And
country metal.
It can work. Okay, let's take it. the epitome of when I could say there are some covers better than the original. Johnny Cash's cover of Nine Inch Nails is heard.
Yes. And even Trent Reznor has gone on to say that he prefers Johnny's version better.
Yeah.
So is All Along the Watchtower.
Oh, yes. Now,
uh,
there's a song that has a lot of variants.
Mm-hmm. But Bob Dylan has said that he prefers the Hendrix version. Was it Hendrix? Yeah. Sorry, my brain's half sleeping.
Well, see, Bob Dylan is an incredible songwriter, right? Phenomenal. I cannot abide his voice. His voice, something about his voice makes me want to punch someone in the nose. It's like the avatar of everything from, God, I lost his name. And he was in Encino Man. He was the Biodome movies. He called the character that he plays in those the Weasel. What the heck is his name?
Polly?
What? Pauly Shore. Yes.
Okay.
That nasal hand. I just. Oh. And it's like he's legendary. But the man, it's all going, man. Just. It's like,
And
have some black coffee. You've had too much of the salad.
Dan said that Alice Cooper is really nice. I do know a guy that used to work at a golf course.
Alice,
and he said he was the sweetest guy. That he would just. Oh.
Alice Cooper is one of the nicest people on the planet, from what I've heard. I mean, his geometry teacher is how I found out I was dyscalculic, and I would have probably failed out of college if it wasn't for him. But every time he's within the area, Alice sends him tickets. The only time he gets cranky is if somebody detonates him, because he really has taken Alice Cooper to be his name. Whether there's a gender attachment or anything weird with that, he just is not the old name. And I'm sure Thesis can definitely get in on that in understanding. But
Sarah listed some bands that she's met. One was REO Speedwagon. Ted's mom, where she went to high school, they were one of the bands that used to play at their high school dances. It was before they made it big.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh! And Gary Richard's ex-wife still lives here, and she actually hosted my birthday party at a bar one time. I was at my 30-something birthday. And oh my God, she was an absolute doll. Sweetheart.
And see, I'm seeing this reference of people who are talking, and I've noticed something. People are jerks when they don't have catharsis. So the people who are hard rockers, I mean them and their fans tend to be the most mellow people on the planet. There are exceptions, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But them and some of the darkest goth people are some of the nicest. Like, they really are the pink fluffy sock in the big clunky boot as an individual. And I don't know if that makes sense, but to the people
it does. When I worked at the shelter, there was people that would put in applications, and people would go, oh, they're goth or this. Oh my God, did you see they were wearing studded bracelets and blah, blah. And I was like, you know what? Some of those are going to be the best cat parents in the world, because they have been so misunderstood, and a cat's not going to care if they have a studded collar on. They're nice to them. They give them love, scratches, and feed them. That's all they care about. They are going to be some of the best cat parents in the world.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah.
It is strange and kind of horrific that we live in a world where you have to vet animal adoptions that hard. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And the system has such a cost that I could not have the cats I have if I had gone through one of those, because I probably couldn't afford it. And I know, because I have an autistic son, a lot of places wouldn't allow me to have a cat for fear of behavioral issues. Or a dog.
I would have never put that in when I used to process applications. I would have never even put that as one of my, because I know that sometimes cats can be that voice that somebody who's autistic needs.
Oh, absolutely. I am.
Oh, and by the way, Sarah wanted to tell us that goth and emo are not the same.
Epically. You are correct.
Rich got to meet POD, except for he didn't know it was POD at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Thesis said that George Fisher for Cannibal Corpse is a big fluffy teddy bear. He stuffed by stuffed animals for cancer patients. Mm-hmm. And I guess he kind of goes by what we were saying is about judging and not judging people.
Right. It all comes around because real goth sack Rome. Wow.
Rich.
I won't save you.
Love you.
I love you, but you're gonna die, bud. Anyway, forgot again, didn't I? Anyway, like, I'm drawing real fluidly. I feel good doing it. Oh, I know you tease. It's sort of like, yes, real goth dance to the Thomas the Tank Engine theme. If you haven't seen that video, it's an internet necessity. A bunch of cyber goths are dancing under like an overpass, and someone realized you could cut out the sound and dub in the Thomas the Tank Engine theme, and they were in time with it.
Oh, probably the speed was the same, probably, with the beats.
Mm-hmm. There are a lot of songs and things like that. I'm never good at remembering what you call those types of things. I'm terrible with vocabulary as a concept. I will know what something is or an action does or something like that, but it's just, what do you call that? Part of the reason I wrote The Simple Sword was so I could say, hey, here's simple English terms. You don't need to, get too French or Italian on a subject.
Right. And Thesis said metalheads are the most welcome community, despite people thinking thinking the words covered up are all violent sociopaths. That's so true.
And yeah,
I tell people that I used to be goth, and they look at me and go, "No," and I'm like, "Yeah." Never judge. Oh, okay. And people are infamous for this. You see a girl looking like me wearing a Iron Maiden shirt.
Okay.
Most people look at me and go, "You don't listen to Iron Maiden." I'm a top 40 girl. That's what I listen. I'm a Swiftie. That's what people, when they meet me or see me, that's what they see is that, oh, she's a Swiftie. I'll be honest, I can't stand her. Okay, anyways, that's neither here nor there. But I will wear a Iron Maiden shirt and we'll name 5 songs. That's, when people wear something that
I hate that.
I found that I've done it, and then I get mad at myself for doing that when I see somebody.
Yeah.
And I'll do it. I'll go, no.
The gatekeep it's like, I don't know, it's like stopping for your fandom papers. We need to see if you really, and like I've proudly said, I am polyamorous, and I love that term, which will get people because now it's not this phone, but my last phone had my music on it. And if you hit the wrong, or a couple phones back, had the different playlists. If you hit like my old dark motivational playlist, you would be worried about my soul.
Chapter 20.
Yeah, I mean, because that playlist was made for me to get things done and take anger and annoyance and channel it into productivity.
Honestly, that's what with Ted in his Legos. When he's stressed out, he puts on speed metal and goes out there and builds something.
And sometimes it would be very emo, very, very dark music things. I wasn't sure if it was virtue signaling was the right term or not, but yeah, these things. It's like I may like one song a band does, and oftentimes it's their oddball song. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where they normally do music that sounds like this, but they got one song that's way out there. But if I listen to stuff, it's going to be whatever hits me. Like, and it could be anything from I said Mudvayne, Disturbed. I am coming around to their cover of Sound of Silence. I had to process it.
Because it's so dark compared. Well, the first one's very calm. The second, the original's calm. The second one, the remake or the cover. See, I don't know words either.
No. The Sound of Silence, the Simon and Garfunkel original, was a bittersweet, tragic warning of what was coming. It was almost a prophetic analysis of the coming lack of empathy, the lack of hope, the darkness. The writing is literally on the wall, and mourning that they will probably, that it's going to be coming. And please listen. And it's a very bittersweet and liminal, because they realize that they're in another transitive state. And they were trying to warn, let's not go there. We're going there. And Disturbed's version it's still bittersweet, because it's the place of not just anger, but anguish at, you were told. You were warned. The song warned you. You didn't listen. And now it's like he's singing the song from the perspective of having we told you this was coming. Remember, I said this. You didn't listen. And it does encapsulate the underlying anger of our time. And I could see both. My problem is the liminal warning phase still has enough hope to be comfortable for me. And the rage-filled version is too close to what I'm trying to keep from letting loose in me, in the way I see the world burning. Everyone is angry and they don't know why. They can't process how they got where they are. It's like the whole planet went too fast and just kind of came off the rails and doesn't know how they got where they are, so they can't figure out how to get out. And I don't know if that makes sense, but that's the feel of it. But it's, for me, a lot of times the music I listen to comes in periods. I have musical periods where for a while, like early Lindsey Sterling, I was all about. I was all about early Lindsey Stirling. I loved the dubstep Lindsey Stirling. I loved her independent music. And then when she started adding lyrics and she changed and she did some stuff, it's still good, but it's not. It isn't that juxtaposition of classical and technique and just rampant futurism. Like her and Pentatonic's version of Radioactive. Brilliant. But not but like I said, the later stuff just didn't resonate. And there was it's funny, there was a period where I was really into some of the we had access to some just amazing like parody music where a website group called Warp Zone would take at the time modern poppy silliness and do geeky covers. You know, I'm serious.
When you said the geeky covers, I went to Richard Cheese.
Like, if you get a chance, you need to listen to their Game of Thrones medley, because they cover like 5 or 6 songs from that. Or I'm sorry, three songs. But I heard it so much it overwrote. Like, to me, those are the right lyrics, not the real lyrics anymore.
Yeah, there's a couple of songs. I Weird Al stuff a lot of times.
Exactly. I mean, weird. Wait, I'm gonna say something here. 1 second. I may have been influenced by Weird Al at early points in my life. I'm not going to say I was. I'm just going to say that there might be sides that I was influenced by Weird Al at points in my life. And that his version of most of the songs he covered is the true version. But, Lizzie Hale. Yes, Lizzie Hale. Hailstorm's a great CD. Nightwish is amazing. I love Nightwish. Blackmore's Night. Basically, I have like a playlist that sounds like I'm a middle-aged pagan lady, because there's a lot of Lorena McKennitt, Nightwish, Blackmore's Night. Oh god, like real frankly witchy sounding stuff. And I mean, it goes all the way back to my love of Stevie Nicks. You know, I adore Stevie Nicks. I adore, Janis Joplin in doses. Because Janis can get a little close to that Bob Dylan sound sometimes.
I agree with that.
And I'm trying to remember which one of the because you're saying when Nightwish was better when Tasha was still singing. So I've got a comment dump, so I can't find that comment again, but I saw it. So give me just
which one was it?
It was a thesis comment. No worries, but here it is. When Tasha was singing, I think she actually came back to cover because her replacement wasn't there. Because, and I'm horrible with names, but whatever. The lead singer left, was replaced, came back, and I can't remember which one it was that I heard. But I saw Nightwish live at the Aragon the Aragon Ballroom, not the Brawl Room. I'm sorry, people who know. But it was actually a very intimate concert because I was like 10 feet away from them for a while. They're just chilling, like literally just listening like this. Me and my nephew propped on the little rail. The big security guy kind of comes up and looks at me like, and we just sat well blasted. But nothing's wrong with being middle-aged. That's just what one of my playlists was accused of being, because I was 20 at the time, but I had Jethro Tull and a few other things. Because as my mood hits, my music shifts.
There's so much truth to that.
What?
There's just so much truth to it. And daily.
Yes.
My it could be one to the other, and yeah.
Well, there's also the effect of I have music for certain times. I am an absolute sucker most of the time for bossa nova. I love bossa nova. It's like, really? Yes, I love bossa nova. Now, can I tell you the names of a lot of that stuff? Nah. No. But, because a lot of it's, I love the song, but it's instrumental. How am I going to, how am I going to find out the name of it without like finding where it was at the timeline and stuff? But I'll rock out and that gives me a mellow line to cruise through, and then I have what I call like 3 a.m. music, which is that place where old folk music and old rock and old blues all bump together.
Mm-hmm.
So you get like the summertime version by Ella. Can't remember her last name. She sang with Duke Ellington, but you also what?
Fitzgerald?
Yes, Fitzgerald. It just fell off. Yes, I listen to I'll listen to 30s music. I'll listen to old like haunted country music. You know what I'm saying? And it's just songs about broken hearts and trains and ghosts and weird stuff and the blues. You get up some you'll like how Highland
Sarah's gonna look that up.
They the kind of, again, Sound of Silence, bittersweet ballady dark time music, and I'll go into that for a while, and I'll come back up and come back down, and I end up in weird places like Poor Man's Poison, which now everyone seems to have discovered, much to I don't know if it's my delight or annoyance, but they're the ones who did Hell's Coming With Me. I am the righteous hand of God, and the devil you forgot. Yeah. I have to deliberately sing it off key and very short to prevent, copyright infringement. But great stuff. And the Dead South, which apparently is a Canadian band, and I did not know that. They're great. And symphonic metal is great. Miles Davis is always great. You grew up as close to Chicago as I did with WNUA 95.5. That's where my opening is an homage to the opening done.
There's that word again.
The incredible Ramsey Lewis. Monstrously great blues jazz musician and he was also the host of the night show on WNUA 95.5. Now I can do that because they're out of business, but that was I'd have that going all night, just smooth jazz out of Chicago. And again, instrumental. How are you supposed to tell what you like? They play it, you know?
Miss Sarah said, well, I guess Canada technically also has a south. I flew south to Canada. That is my claim. One of my claims to fame is that I flew south to Canada.
I'm impressed.
I know, because like between Minneapolis and Toronto, Minneapolis is like, I'm going to go backwards here. Minneapolis is up here and Toronto is here.
Oh, yeah.
So it's literally, but I did fly south to Canada. So, well, we've been doing this for 3 hours now.
Yeah, we have.
And I
You're
have another show
out
tonight because we're doing the burning is the yarn or wood.
So we'll let you go. I have to do lunch with Xander, so I'm going to set up I'll run some ads real quick. This is just me playing around. I hope it didn't bother you guys. I know my art isn't like on a normal arc right now. Part of it is I'm dealing with some hand issues, and part of it is
looks like you're doing a kitty cat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, this is something else. But I'm going to run some ads. We'll give final thoughts, and we'll do a more formal version of this. We went so far off the rails, we landed on other rails.
Well, but we stayed rail-y. But if people want, and this I'm just throwing out there, want specific things that they want us to chat about or give information on, or just want to know what our point of view is, let us know, and we can kind of put it into the show format too.
Absolutely, because I would love to hear your thoughts on marketing and how to improve because I realize I've plateaued a bit, so now I have to try new things.
Mm-hmm.
And
you got to throw some more spaghetti.
Yep.
My two big things are plant the seed and throw the spaghetti. I'm food motivated.
I'm hungry, so I'm gonna run. Actually, wow, that's just scrolled around like I wasn't touching.
Well, Thesis was played already. Joe played Thesis and Carl's when you went bye-bye for a second. So
okay, well, I'll run I believe the Legend of Korra ad, and then a couple others, and we'll call it.
Oh.
What up, lovelies? This is Mike Jimmy, CEO of Furthermore and creator of Love and Korra, now back with our 7th issue in the series, The Bond. Love and Korra is a series of one-shots, building a world one story at a time. A couple of years ago, I imagined a world, and I told a couple of writers to go have fun in my sandbox. And so they did. Each adventure is unique and adds just a bit more to make this world feel more and more alive. They can be read separately and all contain a complete story. In our upcoming release, you follow Sevier and Aphil on their journey into maturity and find out if their friendship breaks down in rage or whether their bond is stronger than bad emotions. Now on Kickstarter and Fund My Comic.
Oh, and okay, we got that. Actually, let's run this. Well, friends, let's just do that. It's been an interesting 3-hour program. I I'm in that kind of mood where I could go all the way through to the, tell Nick you have to stop burning his love is coming on. But
But you got to be dad too right now.
Yep. Let's see, wait. And
I planted the seed, not the green room from Richie. Thanks. Oh, and then Al jumped in.
Of course, because we try to keep it above water and then we sink into the muck. But guys, to kind of give some final thoughts, going to conventions, selling is great, but the purpose of a convention is to convene. It's to come together and meet the fans, meet the people who share your interests. And they can be a very diverse group. They can be very diverse response. You need to learn to be part of your environment. And that's not necessarily fitting in. You still, okay, buddy. It's finding the frequency of just how you act and how you are to prosper. And I believe all of you can. And I believe that as the world tries to force us towards a more algorithmic, more sanitized, perfected system, there will be more appreciation in the opposite, more love for the human, for the artisanal. And we are in a place to be that. So remember, you're putting the light out there. You're putting your story out there. You never know what will help somebody. So keep that in mind. Do you have anything you want to say, Dawn?
I don't think so. It was a great show today. I'm just needing to move on for the day because tonight's going to be a big night. But for the show, I hope that sometimes I feel like I beat a dead horse. But at the same time, maybe sometimes when I say something, somebody else will hear it. Somebody new will hear it. Somebody will actually take it at a different point of view. And I'm not perfect when it comes to this stuff. And that's where the spaghetti stuff comes from.
Well, people learn through repetition and play. That's how we actually learn. So you have to
evil role play stuff that I talked about.
and it's geared, your role play stuff is geared towards a set of people with a very specific set of problems. It's very much like building from the bottom up for the people who don't necessarily have the projecting personality.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see that. It's good social training. And it's a good thing to fall back onto. But sorry, I just
but yeah, so it's you have to be yourself, but sometimes you have to step out of your comfort zone. And that can go the other way too. If you're a carnival barker, you have to step out of your comfort zone and draw it back sometimes too. Yeah. So it's not just if you're an introvert, you got to come out. It's kind of if you're way out there, you sometimes have to reel it back in. And I'm caught because I'm also proud of people who are going, I want to be who I am. I'm not going to be a fake person.
Right.
It's not about being a fake person, though. It's about finding the level.
Well, it's reading the room and making sure the message that you are giving is in a tone they'll listen to. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely. Because nobody is the same. No, I know people will go, I'm always this way. No, you're not always the way that you say you are in one group to the next. You aren't. Even if not you personally, but when people say that.
Right.
No, you're different. You're different at a doctor's office than you're going to be at a Guar concert.
Code? What is it? Code switching? There's a term for it. I want to say it's code switching. Code switching or code changing. And it's best example by the way you act at church, the way you act at work, the way you act with your wife, and the way you act with your friends and speak may be very different. Now, because of my unique upbringing, I am rather adept at rattling mode to fit in here without changing who I am.
Mm-hmm.
because it goes back to dialects. And I do like the omnivert thing. I'm an omnivert.
I like that word.
And that is a good term. The extroverted introvert is another really good one that I find a lot of us have to become, because the only way you're going to sell your stuff is you have to put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with that, and you have to make it. So guys, let's remember to keep writing, keep drawing, keep creating, because you can edit it, you can improve it, but you cannot edit a blank page. I love you, and you should too. I will see you Friday at the latest for the next episode of Nevermind the Furthermore, and you'll see Dawn definitely over on the Burning is Love on the Independent Creators Network, where you can watch either Joey set wood on fire or Trelena make elaborate three-dimensional solid objects out of basically a one-dimensional wiggly object. It's still sorcery.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that,
agree.
guys, have a happy hump day. I know this week's been a weird one, but we're getting through it, and see y'all soon. Toodles.